Hi there. So I will very briefly cover some parts of chapter 16, which covers personality disorders. So you can think of personality disorders as disorders in which a person has enduring patterns of experiencing emotions, viewing or experiencing the world, and behaving in the world that cause some problems for the person. Okay, there are different clusters, 3 different clusters or groups of personality disorder. They're sometimes referred to as cluster A, B, and C. I will just briefly address cluster B, or the dramatic personality disorders, and then I'll discuss one particular disorder in more detail. So the dramatic personality disorder category includes histrionic personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, and antisocial personality disorder. I would like to spend a little bit of time on borderline personality disorder. And one reason is that this is a disorder that can cause a lot of difficulties in functioning, both interpersonal and daily living functioning for people. It's actually a very useful diagnosis because when a person is aware that they have a borderline personality disorder, there's really good news. And the good news is that we have evidence-based treatment that has been shown to help, in some cases significantly, to people with borderline personality disorder. So when you think of borderline personality disorder, sometimes referred to as BPD, first and foremost, think of emotional instability. Okay, it's sort of you can think of it as a disorder of emotional dysregulation. It's very difficult for people with borderline personality disorder to regulate their emotions. So typically they have intense reactions to bad news, sad news, exciting news. They get easily angered sometimes, and that can cause a lot of daily ups and downs that can be exhausting and overwhelming, and that can cause difficulties in relationships as well. The second hallmark of borderline personality disorder is what we call interpersonal volatility. Okay, so what happens there is a person typically engages in relationships with the same kind of intensity I described a little bit earlier, and it causes ups and downs and conflict in relationships. Okay, so it could be that a person with borderline personality disorder just met a new friend, they get really excited about this relationship, they decide to move in with each other into the same apartment, even though they may not really have known each other for very long, and then there is a first disagreement, and the person who has BPD might react unusually strongly, right? Have intense reactions, maybe get into an argument, walk out of the relationships. So we do see sometimes in BPD these ups and downs in relationships. Again, that can be overwhelming and exhausting. People with BPD also struggle with defining who they are or their identity. They can have chronic feelings of emptiness. Some people have chronic suicidal thinking or engage in suicidal behavior. And some people with borderline personality disorder also engage in non-suicidal self-injury, such as self-cutting. Okay. I mentioned earlier that there is good news, and the good news is that there is a treatment called dialectical behavioral therapy, which was specifically designed for people who have chronic suicidality and or borderline personality disorder. Okay. It was developed by a researcher whose name is Marsha Linehan. She dedicated her entire career to studying this empirically in a university setting. And she came up with a treatment that we call dialectical behavioral therapy, which is a form of cognitive behavioral therapy that has multiple components. So one such component is individual psychotherapy, where a person meets with a psychotherapist, typically in weekly sessions, and discuss their symptoms, learn, how to manage their symptoms, how to improve their daily functioning, how to manage their suicidality, etc. There is also a crisis management component when a person could, in a state of crisis, call the therapist or crisis team to receive coaching on how to work through that particular situation. And then there is a group psychotherapy component where people typically meet in a small group setting with a psychotherapist and learn skills in regulating emotions, managing and reducing distress, or sometimes called distress tolerance. One component is mindfulness, because mindfulness has been shown to improve emotional regulation. And finally, people also learn skills in how to improve their relationships with the people in their world. So I'm going to pause here. There are multiple personality disorders discussed in the textbook. I do encourage you to review them all, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.